Right guys, okay, in this video tutorial or tutorials, I'm going to go through the arithmetic problems that are presented to you in Python lesson 2. Specifically, we're going to be looking at plus, minus, times, divide, another type of divide, and so on. On slide number 3, it just gives you the name of the actual operator that you should be familiar with already by name anyway, but just the character or the symbol that you use in Python, you just need to make sure you're familiar with. So plus and minus are just the normal addition and subtract sign. For multiply, we use the star. We don't use X. We use the star. You can access that by pressing Shift and 8 or some other combination on your keyboard, or you may well have a separate key for the star. And then we have a divide, which is a /. Okay. They work in Python absolutely fine in the shell, or you can write a program in a new file. So normally when you write a program or when we're doing any Python exercises, I always tell you to get a new file and then write your program here. If you want to, you can just test things out here, but it's not like a proper executable file. So for example, if I did 9 plus 5, then it would tell me the answer. If I did 3 minus 1, and then it would give me the answer there. If I did 5 divided by 2, it gives me a decimal answer. If I do 9 divided by 3, it still gives me a decimal answer, but we know that it's 3 whole portions. So anyway, so just so you know that division, the single /, it gives a decimal answer. And then we've got something else which does 10, double / or double divide. Let's do that by 3. And this gives the whole number answer. And then you've got another type of division, if you like. It uses a percentage sign. And if you do that by 3, this gives you the remainder. Okay, so that's just those symbols quickly for you guys, but we're going to go ahead and write a new file in a new file window. But first, let's actually deduce what we actually need to do. So I'm going to start off with this program first. Okay. Now, a couple of you were looking at this in class and you were struggling to actually just even begin. So what you can do, and what I did advise some students to do, is just maybe just plan out what you're going to do in the form of a normal algorithm in plain old English sentences, and that actually might help you. So for example, let me just make a new slide over here. So it says here, write a program that will ask the user for 3 integer numbers and then add these numbers together before displaying the answer. Okay, so the first thing that you might do is display on the screen, insert or input 3 different numbers, or they can be the same numbers or whatever, it's up to the person, but anyway, let me just do that. So first of all, display on the screen insert 3 different numbers, then take number 1 from the user, and then after that you want to take number 2 from the user, because you've asked them, oopsie daisies, because you've asked them to enter 3 numbers, right? And then you would take number 3 from the user. So after you have taken 3 numbers, and then add these numbers together before displaying the answer. Okay, so we're going to now say add these 3 numbers together. And I'm going to say here store in a variable called answer or something. And then display answer to the user. So the answer will be the 3 numbers added up. Okay. The input and output should be user friendly. So the input and output should be user friendly. So that just means, make sure you've got clear statements, clear instructions. Maybe your displaying of the answer would have something like something like the total of your 3 numbers is, and then you'd have the value of the answer. So display the answer to the user like so, and like that. Okay, so anyway, so that's like a rough kind of plan. That's our rough algorithm. So if you do this and maybe just think of the steps logically, then you can troop on with trying to actually put this in Python code. Okay, if you're fine doing it straight into Python code, then go ahead. Okay, but if you're struggling, then at the very least I want you to come up with a step-by-step order of instructions of what you would tell Python in order to make this program. So anyways, let me go ahead. I'm just going to leave this on the side here. Let me just downsize this. Here we go, and I'm going to open my Python window, and then I'm going to go ahead and use the skills that I've been picking up from lesson 1 and onwards to actually go ahead and create this program. So first of all, display on the screen, insert 3 different numbers. So you can just start off with your print. So print saying please, should we say input? Please input 3 numbers. Okay. Speech marks and then close. And then we need to take the first number from the user. Now we need to store this in a variable. I didn't specify that here, but anytime you take an input from the user, it should be stored in a variable. So let's just call it number 1. So number 1 equals input, standard. Number 2 equals input. So you can call your variable name whatever. I'm just calling them num1, num2. It's fine. Just make it something descriptive so it's clear. Number 3 equals input, open close bracket. Right, I'm doing that. And then add these numbers together, and store in a variable called answer, right? So add the numbers together and then store them in a variable called answer. So answer equals num1 plus num2 plus num3, and then display the answer to the user. Let me just do a standard display like this. So print whatever the value of answer is. Let me just go ahead and run that. Save it first. Okay. I'm just going to call this lesson 2, problem 1. I'm just going to put this on my desktop for now. Okay. So when it runs, let's see what it's doing. Please input 3 numbers. Okay. 5, enter. 6, enter. 2, enter. 5, 6, 2. Okay. It did this well. It took in my numbers and it accepted my 5 and then my 6 and then my 2. And then I've got answer equals num1 plus num2 plus num3. And then I printed the answer. So it's literally done what I've asked it to do and it's put the numbers together. So you might remember from the other program that we were working on in lesson 1, when you put, for example, a string value together with another string, it will simply place it one next to the other, like we did first name plus surname. So here, what Python is doing, it's treating the input like it's text. It's treating it like it's text. It doesn't understand that this is an integer and we want it to mathematically add, not just place next to each other. For your information, what this has done, it has concatenated. So it has placed one value next to the other. But we wanted it to be treated mathematically, and therefore we wanted 5, 11, 12, 13. We wanted 13 as an answer in this case. So what we do here is we change the input, given that it's going to be a number, we change the input so it's treated like it's a number or integer. So what you do before input is you type int, open bracket, and then close the bracket after the input request. Okay? So you do that, for all 3 values. Use your keyboard shortcuts. Use end, how you've got end and home to go to the end of the line. You can do that. Alternatively, you can copy and paste, whatever. So I am from the input from here, as soon as I'm requesting it, I'm changing the data type from string to integer. So int is integer, okay? It'll be good if you start taking notes within your programs or writing notes within your programs. So for your revision, it will be easier to understand. So for example, a note or a comment that I write next to each line will just describe what's going on. So I'm just going to say here, int will turn the input into an integer. Let's say that, into an integer. Yeah, okay, so these are just comments for yourself. They're not part of the code. They're just there to annotate what's going on because it is quite a lot that we're learning and you might forget here and there what this means, what that means. So just get used to taking notes here and there. You can, so the notes are comments. So you can either write the comments on the same line after the code if you want to do here, if I just cut that and place it here. If you want to put the comment there, that is fine. Whatever works for you. Just remember to do the hashtag, okay? Right, okay, so I have made into integer that input 1, input 2, input 3. Hopefully this will work now. Let me just X this and then run it again. Okay. Please input 3 numbers, 5, 6, 2, 13. Lovely. So it's actually treated my inputs like they're numbers now because of this, because of the integer indication that I've put before the input function. You could actually have done it a different way. So let me just delete these and make it look like what it looked like before. And then let me just make sure that this isn't here either. Oh, I need to get rid of this bracket as well, right? There we go. Okay, you can actually specify and tell Python later that you want them treated like an integer, and you can actually do it here as well if you want. So I could have put int here. So after you've taken the values in, you can later tell Python, now I want you to work with these as if they are integers, as if they are numbers. You can do it here as well. This will work. So let me run the module. Please input 3 numbers. Let me just stick to the same numbers so you know what's going on and what to expect. Lovely. So that works as well. Okay. So there's 2 ways of doing it. One reason you might do it this way and not put it here is that maybe at some point you actually do want it treated. So later on in a program, you do want it treated like a string for whatever reason. So anyways, in this case, we want it treated mathematically. We want it to be treated like it's an integer. So both ways are acceptable. Okay, lovely. Okay, so that's nearly the end of problem 1. Let's just make the output a bit more user-friendly. So print the total of your 3 numbers added together is, remember to do your speech marks at the end of your string. Okay, so this is our string. Remember to do a comma because we are now calling a variable, and that should be it. That should be done. So let's run this module. Let's have a look. Please input 3 numbers. Let's do 3 other numbers so you got your mathematical thinking caps on. Let's do a 4, let's do a 7, and let's do a 10. What does that equal? 21. Lovely. Okay, so that's problem 1 done. Please go through this video again if you are unsure. Make sure you actually write the program and make it work. Go ahead and use your comments to make your work more understandable for yourself so that you are committing this content to your memory. And I'm going to record another video for the next problem.